Hello, welcome to my other little video on the 800mm Tokina prime lens. If you've seen my other video, which I would recommend you see it, you actually have seen me show you the lens. It's massive, it's a behemoth, it's probably as long as an L lens but not quite as wide. And is considerably a bit lighter, being 2.5 kilograms in weight. Now, I thought I'd do a little chat about the images I've taken. I've decided to take them in daylight. Unfortunately, the day was deteriorating into rain, so some of these pictures are quite dark. However, I wanted to basically go through the images with you and hopefully discuss them. So I've got a mixture of images here, and I thought I'd talk you through them. So to start off with, what you can see here is a picture of the funeral director's office. I've taken the picture and it looks reasonably sharp. I did try my best. However, the biggest challenge I have with this lens is keeping it still. Even on a tripod, I still had difficulty with camera shake. So I had to set it up onto the timer for 10 seconds, and when it got to about 7 or 8 seconds, the shaking seemed to settle down a bit more. But there is a possibility that there may be a bit of camera shake even though it was on a tripod. So looking at the funeral director's picture, I can see there are some sort of fringing of the magenta colour in there. It is mild and it's not that bad, to be honest. Now, it's not tack sharp, but it is reasonably sharp. I have seen lenses that are significantly worse. But what you've got to remember is I am photographing at 1280mm away. So to get anything in the frame from this sort of magnification, it was a struggle to find anything on my street. So, but you can see the picture's rendered quite well. This is ISO. Just find the ISO for you. So this particular picture we're running at is ISO 800 at 1/800th of a second. So it's not too bad, and I don't see that much grain in the picture or noise. So it ain't too bad. Hello, I found this picture of a stock security box on someone's wall, and I wanted to try and get as much of an image that I could get with it to try and show the chromatic aberrations on it. Now, the actual settings that we're running at on this particular picture is 200 ISO, 160th of a second, and it's not too bad. There was camera shake, I did experience that. So all my pictures are taken with a 10 second timer on the camera settings. Funny enough, the bricks seem to have come out sharper than the actual text that I was trying to pick out, but it's always possible the text has faded over time, so that's not a given guarantee that it isn't sharp. And it seems to be not too bad. I don't see that much colour fringing in there, and the corners seem fine to me as well. So again, it's not a bad picture. The next one I have for you is a wall that's not far from where I am. We're running at ISO 1600 and 400th of a second on that one. Looking at it, it seems fairly decent sharp. Unfortunately the day was getting quite dark, so I had to up the ISO, but again the colour fringing isn't as bad as I first thought. If you've seen my other video, I was shooting through a window, and it's very possible the window was having an effect on colours. So again, it's not too bad, and I don't see any huge amount of loss of detail at this focal length. Next image I have for you is a bus sign. Let's just have a look at the properties of that image. 1600 ISO, 1/25th of a second. Looking at the picture, it's not that sharp, and it's very possible it was the motion of the lens moving. Colour fringing doesn't seem bad at all. In fact, at 1600 the noise isn't bad either, so it's quite a nice picture really. It's just not quite there in terms of the sharpness, but manual focusing is an art in itself sometimes, especially at these focal ranges. Keep in mind all these pictures are f8 because it is a manual lens. The next picture is a metro sign. Now that's 640th of a second at 800 ISO. I'll just open up that picture. Again, it's not too bad on the sharpness side of it. There does seem to be a bit of red being quite vivid there, but there is a slight, from looking at the white on a Dell monitor, there is a slight tint in the white to the pink, but I don't think it's that noticeable, so it's not too bad. 1600 is not too bad at all. Now my final image, I try to pick something white in the distance. The settings on this image is ISO 400 at 125th of a second, some distance away obviously. Now it is in good focus from what I can see. Colour fringing, certainly in the centre, there's not much I can tell, and the picture looks pretty sharp. I think it with a lens of this nature, the biggest challenge you've got is camera shake. So sometimes I wish it did have image stabilisation, would be more of a benefit than autofocus would be, especially at these focal lengths. So that's the real world samples I've got of this particular lens. I hope you find it useful. If you ever come across this lens, it's certainly a brilliant budget lens. If I was to choose this over a Sigma 150 to 500, I probably would, because it's a prime lens. You got to remember this lens was made in the 1970s, so it obviously won't be at the same level as the new Sigma new vision lenses, or the Canon L lenses, or even the Nikon versions of it. So I hope I've been helpful. I know there's not many people even put up any sort of videos on this lens out there, and I just wanted to give you guys some real world examples of what it can do, and I hope you've found this video interesting, and thank you for taking the time to listen in to my second video on this marvellous behemoth of a lens. So that is the Tokina 800mm prime lens made in the 1970s. Thank you. Bye bye.